Good evening once again as we bring another week to a close. Day 1296 of the Trump administration, 88 days until the presidential election. Tonight, Donald Trump is at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. We know that because the press was summoned for a press conference that turned out to be a campaign rally of sorts in front of a crowd of assembled members of his golf club. Some of them just off the golf course. Many of them had a wine glass in hand. Some of them brought their kids. Many were not wearing masks. The president was played into the room to a recording of Hail to the Chief. Again, it was less a news conference than it was a list of grievances, a dizzying slew of demonstrably false claims, including his latest version of how well he says the nation is doing while in the grip of a pandemic.
It's going to disappear. In the United States, more than 80% of jurisdictions report declining cases. We're doing very well. You don't hear that too often from the media, but we're doing very well.
Yeah, we saw that it was incorrect, and it should be good.
The reality is we are very close to 5 million coronavirus cases. That's about the populations of the cities of Houston and Chicago combined. Over 161,000 people have died as of this Friday night. Trump then rather stunningly said this about health insurance and pre-existing conditions already part of Obamacare, which, of course, the president's trying to end.
Over the next 2 weeks, I'll be pursuing a major executive order requiring health insurance companies to cover all pre-existing conditions for all customers. This has never been done before.
Today, the Labor Department reported the economy recovered nearly 2 million lost jobs. Unemployment now just over 10%. We're still in the grips of a cataclysmic downturn, the worst of the modern era. Many economists say the nation has a long way to go before it's anywhere close to recovered from the shock of the pandemic and related lockdowns. Congressional Democrats and the White House are at a stalemate over another round of coronavirus relief. Tonight, Trump blamed Democrats for the talks collapsing while signaling he's ready to move ahead with executive orders, which he's promised before, using powers no one is sure he has.
If Democrats continue to hold this critical relief hostage, I will act under my authority as president to get Americans the relief they need. And what we're talking about is deferring the payroll tax for a period of months till the end of the year, and I can extend it at a certain period. Hopefully, I will be here to do the job. We're going to enhance unemployment benefits through the end of the year. So unemployment benefits will be, that's a big one, will be brought out to the end of the year, and defer student loan payments and forgive interest until further notice. So students who are paying student loans, and in many cases they're not even allowed to go back into their colleges. Extend the eviction moratorium. We will be extending that so people aren't evicted. Not their fault.
Are you concerned about the legality of these executive orders?
No, not at all. No, if somebody, well, you always get sued. I mean, everything you do, you get sued.
All of that, what you just heard, is TBA. Let's fast forward, however. Here is how the event ended.
President, you said that the pandemic is disappearing, but we lost 6,000 Americans this week. And just in this room, you have dozens of people who are not following the guidelines in New Jersey, which say you should not have more
No, they
than
don't have to. It's a political activity. You're wrong on that, because it's a political activity. They have exceptions, political activity, and it's also a peaceful protest. So when you have, and as you know, they asked if they could be, you know, a number of, and to me they look like they all have, pretty much all have masks on.
So that's about how that went. Earlier today, we learned the U.S. intelligence community believes Russia is trying to help Trump's campaign. They, in turn, are trying to warn the public. A top intelligence official has released publicly what he's told lawmakers behind closed doors about other countries' efforts to influence our 2020 election. The statement from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence says Russia is, quote, using a range of measures to primarily denigrate former Vice President Biden. Some Kremlin-linked actors are also seeking to boost President Trump's candidacy on social media and Russian television. It says China, quote, prefers that President Trump, whom Beijing sees as unpredictable, does not win re-election. And about Iran, they seek to undermine U.S. democratic institutions. President Trump, and to avoid divide the country in advance of our 2020 elections. Here is how the president reacted to this report.
The last person Russia wants to see in office is Donald Trump, because nobody's been tougher on Russia than I have ever.
That's not what the intelligence.
Well, I don't care what anybody says. China would love us to have an election where Donald Trump lost to Sleepy Joe Biden. They would dream. They would own our country. If Joe Biden was president, China would own our country. Iran would love to see me. Iran would love to see me not be president. If I didn't win the election in 2016, our country would now be, maybe it would be over by now, but in war with North Korea.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.